Let's look at some odds. We're talking about who the quarterback is for New Orleans next year. I know you guys are very both draft heavy, and I think it's just interesting potentially, although they're down the line a little bit, which will make things a little bit harder. But here are your odds. Taysom Hill, minus 250. I think that guaranteed money showing up there. Jameis Winston, plus 650. Drew Brees in there, I guess, just going to say, you know what? Feel better, plus 300. Tyrod Taylor, plus 1,400. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's pretty much on everybody's odds board at this point, whether they have a starter or not, plus 1,400. Kyle Trask, interesting, plus 1,800. Marcus, I'll start with you. Where do you think they go in the immediate future? And then is there maybe a quarterback that you have your eye on for them, maybe late first round or down the line for when it comes to the draft?
Yeah, I think we can almost rule out anybody in the first round for them at quarterback in the draft, just because the options are going to be limited. I would not be surprised if there's 5 quarterbacks already gone before they pick in the first round. So you are talking about a Kyle Trask and some other guys down there. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be Taysom Hill. That's who the Saints have gone to over the last 2 years whenever Drew Brees isn't in the lineup. I think they're going to have to change their offense a little bit around Taysom Hill this offseason, because they're going to lose a ton in free agency with Emmanuel Sanders, maybe some offensive line. The defense is going to fall off. So look for Sean Payton to adjust this team around Taysom Hill to try to maximize that offense with him with 1 year left on his deal.
All right. So Connor, am I crazy that Jameis, that throw, he looks physically great. I would give him the keys with an offensive coach like this. I'm actually kind of floored by the reluctancy, but it is Sean Payton. So where does Jameis, I look at these odds and I'm like, that's kind of intriguing to me. And yet I understand why Taysom's going to be the guy. So where do you go with them? And do you think there's a fit potentially down the line when it comes to the draft?
Yeah, so I think when you look at it, obviously you would like Jameis Winston back on under your terms, like a 1 year kind of flyer. Mm-hmm. This is a team entering salary cap hell. I mean, they are really, really up against the wall, and it is the worst time to be up against the wall because everybody online loves to tell you the salary cap is a myth, and to some extent, you can navigate your way around it. But during a pandemic, when that salary cap doesn't keep spiking up, it stays flat or goes down, everybody's looking around and going, well, we didn't predict this. What do we do? Mm-hmm. You're going to have to make some big time cuts. And I wonder if they can make enough cuts where, I mean, if you're trying to re-sign Jameis Winston, you're telling him, hey, you're in the mix for the starter job. Do we think he's just going to take a minimum contract? Because I don't. So I think when you look at it, you can't move on from Taysom Hill. Like I said, they structured the money in a 2-year window where that guaranteed money is in play next year. You're telling him, hey, you're at least in the mix to start. So for me, I think when it comes down to it, you're going into next year with Taysom Hill as your starter. And I do think that they will explore the draft if they like someone. It's hard to predict right now. You're sitting at the back end of round 1. How is Kyle Trask and Mac Jones, who's really that next tier of quarterbacks, how are they going to move up or down the board? Can you sit there and just take one and develop them for a year behind Taysom Hill? I would think that's what they would like to do, and I think those guys might be able to fit their system. Drew Brees really doesn't play out of structure, and neither of those guys do. The name of their game is timing and ball placement. So I think we'll see the Saints get involved in this quarterback class if they can make that happen. But I just don't think there's some big money solution here that really fits them because of what they've done with their own cap.
And I'll also say about Jameis really quickly is I think he's going to have a market, right? I think there's 16 teams that could be changing quarterbacks this offseason. He might have to weigh his options. Like, is staying in New Orleans with, a significantly worse roster better than going to like Indianapolis and playing for the Colts with a great offensive line and a really good defense? So I think he's just going to have a lot of options.
I would love to see, well, I don't know as a Jets fan, but you put him with like a Belichick, somebody that is physically able. I think it could be, I just think he got a bad shake in all this, frankly. And I love Taysom Hill. I covered him in college. Great story. The fact that he's turned this into a fortune is kind of neat. I don't think a full schedule of him being the guy is going to be conducive for anybody. And as an Alvin Kamara fantasy owner this year, I'm going to run from that too, because the glimpse I got from that was not particularly great, but it'll be very interesting to see.